I thought what we could do is something called the Gethsemane prayer. And I learned this actually not too long ago, right around Easter time. And it's a prayer based on the kind of Gethsemane encounter where we have Jesus and the disciples on the night he was taken to be crucified. And so, um, although it is a sort of a Good Friday story, I think it's actually how this was sort of communicated to me. I just thought was so helpful and practical, really, for any time of year and really for any season that we might be at in our own spiritual lives. And so, the heart of this prayer is just the idea that, sorry, I'm just trying to, there we go, is it's a prayer that we can pray. And really it's one of both listening, but also just sharing our own hearts with God. When we may be feeling sad, maybe feeling overwhelmed, maybe feeling anxious around a situation, a circumstance, a relationship that's going on in our lives. Sorry, just give me one second here. There we go. It's also a prayer that we can pray, or kind of a reflective exercise that we can do with God when we have maybe like a desire that you don't know what to do with. Maybe there's been something either in a relationship or in something going on in your life where you know there's something kind of that you want, but I think sometimes we even have desires that we don't even know how to name or get in touch with and say, like I feel at odds or some sort of emotional tension in here, and I can't even give it a name. I don't even know what it is. Well, this is a prayer that we can potentially use even for that. And then finally, sometimes we just have stuff going on in our lives that we don't even know how to pray. We don't even know what to pray. We don't even know what to say. So I think this is a prayer or kind of an exercise I want to lead you through that may be helpful in any one of those situations. So even as I've been describing that, if there's been a situation, a circumstance, a relationship in your life that maybe even fits into this category, I want to just even encourage you to begin to bring it to mind even now and allow God to sort of bring to the surface the emotions, the desires, the things that I don't even know how to pray for this, even now as we get going. This is sort of a quick run through or a sort of template, if we might want to call it that, of sort of how Jesus walked through his own Gethsemane experience. It's essentially a pattern of bringing to God our feelings, and then bringing to God our desires, and then bringing to God our trust. Each one of those three things. So I want to walk you through those as we read through this story of Jesus in the Garden of Gethsemane. But as we start, I just thought we could just start with a moment of preparing our own hearts. This is one of the lines that Jesus says to his disciples as they kind of come into the garden, right? We know he's going to go off on his own and pray, but he tells his disciples, would you stay here and keep watch with me? So just take the next couple minutes and just heed that call from Jesus. Imagine him even saying that to you right now. Just stay here, keep watch with me. I just want to invite you to just calm your own breathing, calm your own spirit, be present in this moment, heed Jesus' words, stay here, be here right now. You might even want to say, Jesus, I'm watching for you. So we're going to read through and just pray through this short passage from Matthew 26 each time, or 3 times. And each time, I just want to, again, direct you and encourage you to direct your own attention and your own prayers um, to kind of each part of the focus of this prayer. So this first aspect of Jesus' Gethsemane prayer is this whole idea of giving God your feelings, giving God your emotions. This is exactly what Jesus did when he came into the garden. He fully recognized where his heart was at in that moment. He didn't sugarcoat it. He didn't brush it off. He was truly and fully being in his true and full emotions. And I think particularly when it comes to our negative emotions, many of us have a hard time doing this. I think many of us, if we're honest, we have a hard time coming to terms with our negative emotions because we feel like they're not good. We feel like they're not things that actually God even wants us to have sometimes. And so we don't know how to bring them to God. We often stay alone in them or bury them down ourselves. And so this is actually a reality that Jesus did. He was fully present and aware and attentive to his emotions. And he fully brought them to God. So I want you to just keep that in mind as I read through this the first time. Then Jesus went with his disciples to a place called Gethsemane, and he said to them, "Sit here while I go over there and pray." He took Peter and the 2 sons of Zebedee along with him, and he began to be sorrowful and troubled. Then he said to them, "My soul is overwhelmed with sorrow to the point of death. Stay here and keep watch with me." Going a little farther, he fell with his face to the ground and prayed, "My Father, if it is possible, may this cup be taken from me, yet not as I will, but as you will." Take the next few minutes, reflect on a circumstance, a relationship, a situation that's causing you perhaps to feel troubled, overwhelmed, confused, uncertain, filled with desire or emotion. Face your emotions. Tell God how you're feeling. As we move on, in this next section of the prayer, Jesus didn't leave it at that. This is one of the things I just love at this. He faced his emotions. He didn't bury them or stay alone in them. He shared them with his friends. He gave them fully to God. But that wasn't the only thing he gave to God. He gave to God his desires in the midst of this. He said, "My Father, if it's possible, may this cup be taken from me." That word cup, that's language that's used a lot in the Old Testament, especially in many senses. It was kind of a Jewish idiom for this whole idea of kind of like your lot in life, the thing that has the cards that you have been dealt, that kind of thing, often associated in the sense of like, this is sort of the suffering or the hardship that is yours to bear in life. And at times in the Old Testament, it's even associated with the judgment of God, sort of the cup of God's wrath being poured out in different ways. And Jesus is saying this was his desire, right? God, if it's possible, would you take this cup, this thing that has been given to me, would you take it away from me? And again, I love that. It's kind of like an unfiltered prayer of just fully being real with his desires to God. This was the Son of God who knew why it was that he had come to the world. And he, even in the midst of that, he's asking, "Oh, Jesus, or God, if there's any other way, would you take this cup from me?" Um, and so I think it's just such a beautiful example of the kind of um, even audacity that we can come to God with the desires that we have. Like being fully even unfiltered, maybe even saying things to God that we wouldn't even share with other people. And it relates to things, certain things that are just going on in our life that we don't have a choice in the matter. This is one thing that was sort of happening to Jesus. And so um, we can't necessarily control other people, certain circumstances or situations that we're in. In other situations in our lives, we do have a choice in the matter, just as Jesus had a choice in this matter as well, right? Regardless, we can fully give our desires to God, be fully open with them, in a sense, not denying that they exist, not beating ourselves up over it, not pretending that they're not there, but trusting that we have a loving Father who knows our desires and we can give them fully to him. So I'm going to read it again. And just in light of whatever situation or relationship is on your mind right now as you're praying through it, I want to invite you, give your desires fully to God. Then Jesus went with his disciples to a place called Gethsemane. And he said to them, "Sit here while I go over there and pray." He took Peter and the two sons of Zebedee along with him, and he began to be sorrowful and troubled. Then he said to them, "My soul is overwhelmed with sorrow to the point of death. Stay here and keep watch with me." Going a little farther, he fell with his face to the ground and prayed, "My Father, if it is possible, may this cup be taken from me. Yet not as I will, but as you will." Share with God what you desire for this situation or relationship. Be completely honest with yourself and with God. Tell him what you want and release your desires to him. And then finally, after God, or after Jesus gives God his emotions and then gives God his desires. And again, I think one of the things I love about both of those is he's unfiltered, he's brutally honest, he lays it all out. And then in the midst of all of that, he gives God his trust. And again, I think what a beautiful model for us to pray. The idea of giving God our trust in the outcome of whatever situation or relationship within, trusting God to say, oh, I'm going to give you any sense of, whatever ideas that I have, which are ultimately false ideas, that I'm actually in control of this situation. No, I'm going to trust you because you're in control of this. Trusting God, even with all of the desires that we have, those that are beautiful and those that are broken. And it's like, God, I'm going to release these to you for you to do what you want with, because I trust you. Trusting that his ways are better than our ways. So I'll read it one last time. Just invite you to take some time and even write out a prayer, either just with a pen and paper that you've got. You're welcome to use the chat. Write out a short prayer, just releasing to God fully your trust in him. Then Jesus went with his disciples to a place called Gethsemane, and he said to them, "Sit here while I go over there and pray." He took Peter and the two sons of Zebedee along with him, and he began to be sorrowful and troubled. Then he said to them, "My soul is overwhelmed with sorrow to the point of death. Stay here and keep watch with me." Going a little farther, he fell with his face to the ground and prayed, "My Father, if it is possible, may this cup be taken from me. Yet not as I will, but as you will." Give to God your trust. Release control to him. Tell God what you're releasing to him and what you are trusting him with. Well, friends, that just about brings our time to a close for today's edition of Grounded on Canada Day. I think this is just, again, a beautiful template for us to follow. Even, if we're not totally in touch or aware of some of the things that might be causing unrest or distress to us, or I think even whatever intense desires that might be going on in life, I think this is a beautiful model to follow in terms of giving God our feelings, giving God our desires, giving God our trust. I hope it was helpful for you today. God bless you.